Are you playing the right games in your sales career? There's a short game and a long game. You got to be playing both to be successful. I'm going to get into that in this video. Stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Max Revenue Show here on YouTube. I'm Mike Casales, your host. Let's get into this, folks. All right. So there's two games you got to be playing as an insurance agent. Game number one, of course, the short game, right? That's your current fiscal year. What's going to hit this year that you're going to get paid on? Keep your people happy at your agency, but also keep your family happy back home and food on the table. The second game, though, is the long game, right? And this is 2, 3, 5 years down the road. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Now, I'm going to talk about the short game first. This is pretty obvious, right? You're out there making calls. Typically, I focus on companies that are coming up for renewal, let's just say 5, 6 months out. That's when I start calling. I'll hit them pretty hard for a month or two. Don't get anywhere, on to the next, right? Now, as you're making these calls for the short term, one thing to keep in mind is when you're getting conversations and people on the phone with you, those are wins, right? Especially when they're saying, call me back. Now, I know a lot of them won't materialize. That's okay. But when they say, call me back, you got to have that follow-up later list, and you put them on a list, print it out, keep adding to it every day, right? You want their company name, the X date, the revenue size. And if it's not going to hit this year, this is where the long game comes in. So it's not going to hit for 2023. It's going to hit in 2024 and maybe be an opportunity then. Well, then I have a list called 2024 opportunities, right? So I have a 2023 list always in front of me. What's going to hit this fiscal year? And then I have a 2024 list. What's going to hit next fiscal year? Now, the short game is pretty obvious, right? You call them if you think it's going to hit this year. You get that process going as fast as possible. But if it's not going to hit this year, or let's say you meet this year, you set a meeting, you're excited, and they're just not quite ready, or timing's off, it's too close to the renewal, don't force it. This is why playing that long game is so important. Add them to the long game list, right? Next year's list, and then put a frequency on it, some type of cadence to make sure you're keeping in touch and adding value throughout this process. It seems easy, but a lot of people don't do it. I've dropped the ball on this myself. And you don't need to be harassing them every month, but every 2, 3 months, make a little follow-up thing in your CRM system saying, hey, drop an article, send something via email, give them a call if you know their birthday, whatever it might be. Reach out on LinkedIn, whatever you're doing, keep in touch with them. And then for 2024, hopefully this list is growing. The reason it's so important to have this, I believe this long game, play the long game, is because you don't want to be forcing opportunities in the short term, right? Just to try to make something happen and then screw it up long term. And then you put a bad taste in that prospect's mouth. You want to be selling with confidence. You want to be reeking of desperation, and your clients can easily see that. One of my favorite follows on LinkedIn, Josh Braun, talks about commission breath, and I think people smell it from a mile away. But the way to avoid that is to not be so desperate this year. Now, if you're a first-year agent, you're in your first year, don't stress about your first year so much, right? Because again, you're just trying to figure out when people are coming up for renewal, trying to work that system, but you're just making calls and you're planting seeds for the long game. You're always working this year and you're always working next year. Now, in your first year, great. If you can get some pops, that's awesome. But your first 6 to 8 months are going to be tough because you're just trying to figure out what's going on out there, right? Trying to get your name out there. And then by year 2, the stuff that you did from last year hits this year. And then guess what? Next year, the stuff you're doing this year, a lot of it's going to be for the next year. So you're always working out ahead. Of course, you're working this year hard, trying to make things happen. But I think it's just important to have that mindset. Have a short game mindset, a long game mindset. Keep lists to make sure they stay in front of you, stay a priority. If you do this, you're going to be selling with a lot less stress internally, and you're going to go into every new year feeling pretty good, right? And very excited about where you can be that year. Hey, if you found this video helpful, do us a favor here at the show. Hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, spread the word. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the short game and the long game. And good luck out there.